else it is that you're coming to this. Ginger here with another episode of Fighting the Void, and we are once again live. Thankfully, we have figured out how to do this without the aid of Google Hangouts. Thank goodness. So we're able to stream live right to you right on YouTube. So if you've got any questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them. And those questions are going to be for, of course, one, my lovely co-host, Crystal, who is here as usual.
Hello.
There she is. Yay.
Hopefully
In all of the pixelated glory. And with us today is none other than the Hapa Supremacy duo. We have Shane and Nico here. So welcome, guys.
Hey.
What's going on? What's happening over there?
It's just another beautiful day up here in the Midwest. And now we've had Nico on before, a few months back now. But in the intervening time, y'all got married.
Yep.
Last I checked, yeah.
Yeah, last you checked. Okay. Now,
you remember?
I'm joking.
Fortunately, Shane, you seem to have survived. Nico hasn't stabbed you with any of her like golden colored knives, so things seem to be off to a good start.
That's Stan's fault. He gave me a bunch of knives for our wedding present.
Yeah, he did. So
did he?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Stan.
It was like a kit of like 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And do you use them for things other than stabbing Shane?
Yeah, I chop up potatoes, meat, stuff like that.
So that's good. Normal things.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, Crystal was actually there for the wedding.
That's correct.
She was, yeah. Good times.
Yeah. It was a blast. Good times. Fun. It was so nice. You guys have
It was small, but it was like I like it like that.
Yeah.
Not too much drama,
It's funny too because even though it was small, we were still hectic. We're still kind of.
Yeah, we were like, oh my god, there's so many things to do. It's like there's only like 16 people here.
Yeah.
For me, I also had a small wedding, and there's still plenty to do, and I would still much rather do a smaller wedding than like the massive monstrosities that I've been to. Like I've been to one of those ridiculous, probably dropped $10,000 on the reception weddings, and it's just like, why? And for the record, that marriage didn't work out. It's like, oops.
Yeah. I remember feeling bad because me and Lucas not only got lost, but us getting lost kind of made us late.
I don't remember that. Were they the last one?
Yeah, we were.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember the order. I think. Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah.
It was kind of a confusing place to get to, though. Like, that was our first time going there, too. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, everything worked out, and we're still alive.
Which is important.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have told this story, but how did you guys wind up meeting and start podcasting together in the first place?
Go ahead.
How did we meet?
Yeah.
We met on Twitter, so it's the best dating service out there, apparently. And then what is it? I posted a goat GIF. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Around here, sir, we pronounce it the correct way. GIF.
GIF. Okay.
Oh, it's GIF.
So it's not the peanut butter; it's the GIF. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I posted a goat GIF, and then when was it? Like a couple months later or something? We met in person.
Couple months. What? No, it was like a couple weeks later.
Oh, okay.
Should Nico actually tell the story?
I think Nico should tell the story. She tells it all the time.
Well, I asked him why did he post that GIF, and then he said because Texas. And I was like, "What do you mean Texas?" And then he was like, "Oh, I live in Texas." And I said, "Oh, so do I." And then we started talking, and then I found some excuse to DM him, and then we just kept talking.
Yeah. And lo and behold, but how did that grow into doing a podcast together?
Well, I guess we were kind of both, I don't know, what is it, like politically interested stuff, but not just politics too, but this like life and culture. Yeah. And then there's a podcast that I liked, and then I introduced you to it. Part of the Problem with Dave Smith. That's the one that if anyone ever asked me, like, how did you become a libertarian, or at the very least get interested in libertarian ideas and principles and all that, it's because of Dave Smith and that podcast. And so I introduced it to her. She was like, "Oh, this is amazing." Some light bulbs went off in her head. Like, well, he's bringing up things I never thought of before, or whatever. And then we were like, well, why don't we just make our own? And we want to.
Well, also, like, some of my followers at the time were like, why don't you just make a podcast? And I'm like, I'd be terrible at a podcast. But yeah, we ended up making a YouTube anyway.
I think you're getting into your groove now with your with talking, whatever.
It's been a while since I've done a podcast, so I'm like nervous right now.
Yeah, because we've had like a little vacation. Yeah, like you're like kind of like us, breaking back into the mold or whatever. So.
Gotcha. Oh, well, good. Yeah. Hopefully it's the start of more to come then.
Yeah. But when it comes to telling our story, apparently I can't tell it as well as she can.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, besides, we all know the woman is going to remember this better. And even if her memory is inaccurate, you're still wrong.
Yeah.
These are the first lessons to learn in marriage.
A happy wife equals a happy life.
Oh,
there you go.
Bad cliche. What a bad cliche.
It is a completely accurate cliche. I've been married for almost 16 years, and it is a perfectly accurate cliche.
Well, there you go. 16 years.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that to you, but you already said it.
Oh.
So you read my mind.
There you go.
See, you're already doing that mind reading thing. This is good.
Well, that happens all the time, and it's creepy.
I was going to say that, or I was typing and you're saying it.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had it where you thought of the same exact time? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And then we just look at each other like, really? Because I was going to say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, the best example that I can think of in my own marriage or something like that is my wife she wanted to buy like farming property or something for a long time, because where we live there's not enough sun. You can't grow hardly anything, except you can grow hostas all day long. That's about it. Anything that actually needs sunlight, it doesn't grow well where I'm at. Covered in trees. But she really was wanting to get into gardening, so she'd been on me to like buy some sort of property for a very long time, and right about this time a year ago, she thought she found the perfect one, and she was just I'm like, no, we're not shelling out multiple thousands of dollars for a glorified garden. I'm like, no, and she landed on this, but she really wanted this one. So we're talking about it. It's probably the 7th conversation we had about this one particular property, and she was like, and it was $25,000. I'm like, no, that's too much. I'm like, well, as we're talking, in the back of my mind, I said nothing about this. In the back of my mind, I'm like, well, if they were willing to take 18, maybe we'll do that. And later the next day, while I'm on my way home from work, she texts me, what if we offer 18?
Wow.
I'm like,
wavelength.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, well, okay, that's a sign. Go for it.
Yeah.
and they accepted it. So
that works out.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we have a small farm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is actually, like I was saying, that was what I was talking about before we went live. That's where I'll be going to in the morning to go and work on building a deck.
So do you have like a big garden then?
She has made a massive garden.
That's awesome.
It is actually, I would say it went from, I'd say as soon as she planted a couple of small corn plots, it went from from big garden to small farm.
Oh, wow.
That's like my dream, to like grow my own food. Because then isn't that like the most anarchist thing ever? Because I know I'm not like technically an anarchist, but you trust the government to regulate your food.
I'm gonna put some pesticides in your food. Oh, good! I can't wait.
Grow your own food, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I know you guys are big into big into various different healthy eating things.
Yeah. I would think so. She kind of started it, and then I kind of got involved with it, and it's like it's kind of to the point now where I'm like actually consciously thinking, like, especially for out in restaurant, we're both thinking, what can we eat? Can we eat here? We're literally looking
how to modify the menu. Yeah, we're one of those people.
Yeah. So can we have like some? Do you guys have any gluten-free beer or something?
We don't do that.
More, Crystal, I cut you off a minute ago.
Oh, I was saying, it's actually a trend scene in that there's more and more people wanting to know I'm frozen, aren't I?
Not anymore.
No.
I can hear you.
Oh, yay.
Sort of. Kind of.
Right when she said yay.
I'll just put it in the chat in case you still can't hear me, but it's a trend I've noticed lately where people are wanting to more and more get in touch with like nature and grow and whatnot, and like live outside the city, including like YouTubers you would be in the city, and they're like, nah, I don't go back.
Well, it's true. And Nico, you're right. It is kind of an anarchist and libertarian thing to be like, you know what? We're going to grow our own stuff here. And even if it's not from, I don't trust the government. I don't trust the big corporations. It's still from, you know what? I'm going to do what I can to take care of myself and not have to rely on those other things.
Yeah. It's a good, I don't know how to put it right, but yeah, I think when you're growing your own food and you know exactly where it's from, it's from right there where I'm growing it. So, I mean, it's kind of an easy way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, because like then you don't need to, like right now when we grocery shop, we have to make sure it's actually more important that your meat is organic than rather your produce because of the things that happen to animals,
Right.
When the meat's not organic. And it affects you more when it's the animals. Especially if you're eating, like for us, we mostly only eat meat and vegetables. We're mostly paleo. So I can't say that we're all paleo because I've been eating bread lately and the bread is like amazing. Like when you haven't had it in a long time, bread is really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm sorry, but bread is fantastic. And I don't think I could never, well, I don't say I could never, but it would take a lot for me to fully give up bread. Just no.
This is really random, but if you're ever at a Trader Joe's, get their French bread. It's amazing. I probably ate the whole thing in one day.
Yeah.
Well, next time I'm in Chicago, I'll have to see. Wait, no, we've got a Trader Joe's nearby now, I think. Because for the longest time, the only Trader Joe's that was anywhere close to me was in Chicago. And that's a bit more than just hey, I want some French bread drive. So, but I think we've actually got one like somewhere within an hour of me now. I think maybe I'll have to look it up. But if I find it, I will swing by and pick it up just cause. But now, but yeah, actually, meat-wise, we've kind of gotten that. We're working on covering that. I would say we started raising rabbits actually at the house, and let's just say that's been an adventure.
Like rabbits as pets or
to eat.
Oh man, I couldn't do that.
We keep so cute. They are awful cute, I will admit. But and we do keep some of them as pets. But they are also little escape artists.
Yeah,
because they know they're going to get eaten.
But maybe they are little floppy-eared Houdinis.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt this conversation, but we actually have a couple questions coming in.
By all means.
Sure.
So, do we want to start movies or political?
It's up to you. You're the movie person.
Which question came in first?
The movie one.
Okay, do that one first.
Okay. Let me see what the name is. Forever Demonetized wants to know thoughts on the whole hashtag Spider Lives Matter. The whole Spider-Man being removed from the Marvel universe.
Oh, they're not talking about like actual spiders' lives because she like destroyed the whole city or
yeah,
the
spiders.
With her.
That's it. They're done.
I mean,
that spider nest thing you posted. Okay, that was just wrong. I mean, spiders don't terrify me, but that terrifies me a little bit.
That was the one today. And then some guy kept replying with pictures of spiders from his house. I'm like, dude, I don't want to see.
Burn your house down. Burn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about the movie. Go ahead.
But yeah, kind of going away because I don't want her to like freak out because we're just talking about spiders and then she'll like want to jump off a cliff or something.
We can't happen.
Yeah. Fourth floor. You know, I can jump out the window.
That too. But yeah, for the whole Spider-Man thing, I guess it sounds like there was supposed to be some kind of expiration date. Like it wasn't supposed to be a I don't know what he's gonna be in the MCU till whenever we feel like it. I guess there was some actual planned out time frame or something. I don't know if I'm speaking out of my ass or something on that, but
Is there a new movie? Like, what's going on? Sorry, I don't even know.
Well, from what I heard, Sony and Marvel and all the people involved, because before it was just Sony with Spider-Man, because they had the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie and then the Andrew Garfield. Yeah,
I may have seen that.
It's ridiculous how many Spider-Man movies there are. But Sony had the rights to it, and then with all this Marvel stuff, people were saying, well, when's Spider-Man going to be in the MCU? And then he finally was in the Spider-Man in the MCU universe. I think it was Civil War was the first time he showed up, right? Mm-hmm. And
really?
then
Wait,
Captain America: Civil War.
Have I seen that? I don't even remember. Did we see that?
It feels like 10 years ago that movie came out.
Because it was
I know
it was a few years ago.
Yeah. But then, after that, and then he had his own movie. It was called Spider-Man: Homecoming.
And I think I saw that by accident.
By accident.
Yeah.
Oh, I just stumbled upon it. Oh, yeah, Spider-Man's on. All right, cool.
I guess I'll just sit here for 2 hours.
Yeah, right. Which it was a pretty good movie. And then he was in the Avengers: Infinity War.
I do remember that.
Yeah. That was. I think of all the MCU movies, that one's definitely top 5 without a doubt. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then he was in Endgame. That one was all right. It wasn't as good as Infinity War, in my opinion.
I agree.
And then he was in Far From Home, which we haven't seen yet.
That's the one where they're like in Europe or something.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I don't really have that much of an interest. I'll probably watch it eventually, maybe, but as of right now, I don't really. I gotta go see it. Like it's not because honestly, I feel like after Endgame, it's. No, go ahead.
The big. Old post credit scene. See it from what I hear.
Okay, I'm interested.
The end credit scene.
Yeah. The end credit scene, it kind of reveals a big thing that is if they don't explore it, basically it was a waste of an end credit scene because it's a pretty big thing to have happen.
Is it he got a bunch of visions or something of different things that happen?
Nope.
Or could happen? Nope. No, okay. All right. Because I haven't seen it myself. I might go see it soon because they just did a re-release of it with an extended cut. I don't know what the deal is with this all of a sudden, but which apparently very few people are going to see. Like almost no one's going to see this extended cut in the theaters at all.
Yeah, because they've already seen the movie. So, I guess I'm going to go see extra 10 minutes, but I'm still going to pay full price for it.
7 minutes.
Yeah.
And and there's the thought also that a lot of people are just pissed off that he's not in the MCU anymore.
Right.
So why bother? Why go see this movie when like nothing else that happens after this, unless they fix this deal, can have any real relation to it?
Yeah. And to add on to the whole situation that's going on with it, it's not just I actually haven't heard the expiration date thing, but basically Disney wanted more money for something they really weren't putting into. So for example, Disney wanted 50% of the entire cut by offering them 50% co-financing, which really wouldn't be worth it because the people filming the Spider-Man movies are Sony and Marvel. And even though Disney owns Marvel, Marvel is still enough to where they have their own. So basically, Marvel and I was like, hey, I give you like money and anything you do. And Sony's like, no. Like, we're the ones doing all of it. We own the right to it.
Well, Marvel did do most. Marvel, again owned by Disney, did do most of the production work on those two Spider-Man movies. Mm-hmm. Sony mostly handled distribution and marketing.
But Sony owns Columbia.
What's that?
Columbia Pictures is owned by Sony.
Understood. Right. Understood. But still, the Marvel Studios did most of the production work on it. Like from what I read, they pretty much did all of the heavy lifting for it. And for those two movies, they got relatively little money out of it, except for I think the Marvel Studios had the merchandise rights. I think, which of course that's not chump change.
A ton of merch.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless, I don't know that Sony understands the full ramifications of what they did by
honestly, I don't blame Sony. I don't blame
regardless of who one blames, there are ramifications that I don't think have been considered. Like they can't even have the Tony Stark designed spider suit.
Well, Disney doesn't care because Disney knows that everyone's going to blame Sony. So really, Disney's basically unscathed in all this, except for maybe profit-wise. But for the most part, no one's looking at Disney.
That is mostly true, and frankly, I'm closer on Disney's side than I am Sony's. Although I think they're both being jackholes.
So it basically came down to the percentage of the financial cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Disney was more.
And the biggest red flag for me on this, as far as who to put most of the blame on, is Tom Rothman, who's running at least this part of the show at Sony these days. Tom Rothman, the reason that I knew that name when I first heard it, and then I heard elsewhere that it's like, oh yeah, he was the guy who was running X-Men for Fox. I was like, oh, that idiot, because I followed the development of like the first Bryan Singer X-Men movies pretty closely, and he was basically every one of those movies was like a quick rush job. Get a script together, get the cast together really quick. Let's film this thing and get it out in just a few months, in just a couple of months, and bam. And the reason why every movie was a rush job was Tom Rothman, because he would delay and try to like negotiate all these different deals and everything. And, finally he would either give up or they would fall into place, but only at the last minute when it's like, okay, we really got to get this movie out now. And so he's kind of a big part of the reason why the X-Men franchise was so this.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I saw his name attached, I'm like, oh.
Kind of like put a whole, okay, yeah, I get it now. I get why this is a mess.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. Either way, it's definitely a mess. I think Marvel was asking too much, going from their, 5% first day gross to 50% overall.
Yeah.
It's a big jump.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. That's a huge jump. But also for Sony to be like, how about you still keep producing it and we still take most of the money? Also bad call.
Yeah.
No, not really. Because it's not financially sound for Sony to agree to percent for Marvel where
much.
They did not want to lower.
Like I said, I agree that Marvel was asking too much. I would think that they could have met somewhere in the middle.
Then again, I have very little sympathy for Disney because they are such a monopoly right now.
Oh, they're total pricks. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I am no fan of. The House of Mouse is horrible when it comes to various things.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Miley Cyrus.
Oh no! Don't bring that up. She's a train wreck.
Yes. It's I don't know, something about working for Disney when you're young seems to destroy people.
Seems like it. Oh, she married for like 7 months, and then she was like, "Actually, I'm gonna go make out with a woman now, and now we're parting ways to focus on our careers." That's the reason.
Yeah, focusing on careers. Yeah, let's just say I'm totally on Baby Thor's side on that one.
So, what are your thoughts on MCU moving forward? Like, despite the Spider-Man stuff, all the stuff that they've announced, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm still gonna go watch Marvel movies," because after Endgame, it's kind of just, well, now what? Because maybe they'll surprise us with the stuff they're coming. Maybe they're gonna come up with some, a good movie or whatever else they're gonna.
To me, it just seems like, I don't know, like just like now I can't watch anything else without it being like, oh well, this is just for money.
Hey, I mean, for us, they have that Asian guy that's gonna have his own movie.
That's true. We got Shane.
Watch that. I don't know. I can't remember what his name is. It's like Shane. Yeah, Shang-Chi or something. Yeah. Shane. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually kind of curious about that one. Like, how are they going to successfully pull off a smaller scale movie that hopefully they can get away from the CGI so much and actually rehabilitate the whole Mandarin concept into the MCU a little bit. We'll see.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Otherwise, all of the Phase 4 announcements are kind of underwhelming. I don't know how they could avoid that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're getting kind of wokey. So I'm not a huge fan of that. So I don't know. Just gonna take it as it comes, to be honest. I'm not ready to write them off, but I'm also not like super excited by anything that's coming. It includes the Disney Plus Marvel shows. I think the one I'd be most interested to see is probably the Hawkeye one, to be honest.
Because then isn't that one supposed to be set when he was in Japan as like a set during that time when they showed an Endgame when he's like,
oh, I don't know,
is that it or is it something completely am I off on that?
I honestly I don't know. It could be. I had heard that they were going to introduce the Kate Bishop character, who kind of becomes like his protege, and takes over the Hawkeye name. Like that's a big, massive mantle that has to be passed on. I'm sorry, Hawkeye's a cool character, but doesn't have that symbolic quality to him, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to be completely honest when it comes to my cynicism comes out. Am I frozen or am I good?
No, you're good.
You're good.
Oh, okay. Because I've been like trying to like Marvel, my cynicism comes out because I feel like it's, for me, not only do I feel like it's like so much to take in at once, so many superheroes and whatnot, and like it kind of get bored of it and whatnot. But I feel like I've also had it ruined mostly because a lot of the fans are like, "Oh, Marvel's the best. If you don't like Marvel, get out of here." But like, I remember I'm careful making jokes now because I've been in conversations where it's like, pick your favorite Marvel superhero or villain and whatnot. And I'm like, I make a joke because I'm more of a DC fan. I jokingly say like, oh, I picked the Joker or something. And everyone's like, No, you're supposed to pick Marvel. I
like, what's your favorite Marvel hero? Batman.
Right.
So there.
So since we're still on the whole Marvel thing, what's your favorite or I guess your like top 3 favorite MCU movies?
Winter Soldier, definitely. Okay. See, the problem with Marvel movies is they do kind of blend together.
Yeah, I think that's the one weak point about them is they all look the same.
Yeah, I'd say Winter Soldier, probably Infinity War, because I agree with you. That's better than Endgame, even though I love the giant battle at the end of Endgame. Let's see here. Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess.
Oh, I like that movie too.
Yeah,
the first one. The second one was all right. Yeah, I say probably. I think those 3 are pretty good. Yeah, favorite 3. Yeah, that'll work. Oh well, and actually, if you include Homecoming, which I would because it is an MCU movie, I actually really like that. I thought Tom Holland was a fantastic Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that might squeeze in there with an honorable mention sort of situation. No, you guys want to get a little more on the serious political social commentaries thing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what was that political question that we
got? Okay, this is from Jimmy. Do you guys hold more conservative views rather than liberal or libertarian in some or a lot of issues?
I guess it depends on the issue.
I think it's going to depend on how you define libertarian as well.
That's true because I mean, I know you probably seen the libertarian purity thing going on where it's like, oh, well, you can't think that.
You know what's funny about that? People are like serious about that, and then other people joke about it.
Yeah,
like you're not. It's like I'm the only real libertarian,
I joke about it because it happens too often. But when it comes to those things, where it's kind of weird because I've seen a lot of libertarians who can be okay. To me, it seems like there's 2 types of libertarians. There's the type of libertarian who is like, okay, libertarianism is property rights and the non-aggression principle, and whatever else you think, that's fine. As long as you believe in those 2 things, then you're a libertarian.
Yeah.
The other libertarian that I've seen thinks that you pretty much have to be tolerant of everything, or else. Sorry, here, wait. No, Misha, don't do that. Sorry, my cat is trying to eat the computer cord, and this is not going to go well.
Well, no, that's going to lead to some technical difficulties down the road.
Yeah, it's fine because sometimes she's good, and other times, like right now, she wants to bother us.
Yeah.
But yeah. Basically, kind of going off of what she's saying. There's that 2-tier libertarian or whatever, and that's why there's a lot of infighting because, especially with like immigration, that's a big one. Abortion's another big one, which I'm sure you've seen those types of debates that libertarians have. Well, I think a woman should have the right to choose to abort the baby because the baby is their property or their it's my body, my choice, that whole thing. And then there's also libertarians believe that non-aggression principle,
and then that the baby inside of you is a life,
right?
So if you abort it, that would obviously be aggressing upon a life.
Yeah, so there's
fairly obvious.
Yeah, there's that
the 2 sides.
The 2 sides, and then with the immigration thing, it's property rights. Some people say, well, and also there's libertarians who say that, well, people should have the freedom to move, or the freedom of movement. Basically.
And then there's the other theory. It's mostly by Hop, right? Hop.
Yeah, Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Yeah, Hoppe. Yeah, that's right. I can never pronounce his name. Anyway, so it kind of stems from his theory where it's property rights are sort of extended to country borders because you also have to think about the people who are already living in the in that place, do they have the right to not let other people move to the place that they're already at?
Yeah,
it gets really complicated.
Yeah,
and
autistic. It's weird. Yeah, autistic, because there's that joke too that libertarians are autistic.
So true though.
Yeah,
you get into like the weirdest, like you start getting into these weird libertarian things that only libertarians would talk about. They're like, okay, here's a good example.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in property rights, what if you have a property, right?
Right.
And then someone builds their property around your property? Is that an aggression on your property because now you can't get out of your property?
Yes. That was easy.
Land around it is right.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, when would that ever happen in real life? But yeah.
Because
you'd be surprised. Actually, that's why there are that's why in in property law and stuff there's easements and stuff on property a lot of times, so that to prevent exactly that sort of thing from happening. So you can't legally lock somebody in by buying up all the property around them. You have to allow an easement at the very least so they can have a driveway.
That's what I would think, because
that situation is already covered in existing law.
Yeah, and some people are also saying with the whole Trump border wall thing, they're kind of saying that with the walls being built on property, that I guess private property.
So the eminent domain is theft, but then also is not building a wall causing more what do you call it, like more violence, because you have people being detained and stuff, and instead of being deterred by a wall. So it's kind of like we're split on a lot of issues as libertarians.
Mainly the immigration, abortions, the main one, I guess.
Also intellectual property.
Yeah, that's another.
I've noticed that.
Standard versus Bitcoin.
Yeah. So there's a lot of divisions.
I've noticed the abortion and the immigration one, they're fairly well known. I've seen them a lot. I've noticed the intellectual property thing just coming up a little bit more often recently. I find that fascinating to me because, I'm sorry, but if I create a comic book character, I'm sorry, but I would like to be able to determine how that's used, at least for a while. I think I suspect, and I want your guys' thoughts on this. If this whole thing against intellectual property rights is kind of a backlash to the fact that, okay, maybe we've probably gotten too stringent with intellectual property rights, so the where like Disney will come and sue you if you use Let It Go in a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you can extend copyright law now for like freaking 9,000 years into the future, so that the clones of your great grandchildren are still making money off of it. I just wonder if it's a backlash to that sort of thing, as opposed to like a real conviction that no, everyone's ideas belong to everybody.
It's kind of hard for me to take a side on that, because on one hand, I understand, like, if someone created something, even if it's not tangible, it's still like it took work and it's value,
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, it's like, how far are you willing to go to protect that? So to me, it's like,
do you think with the whole protection thing, do you think there's like,
how can you? Because the internet is like,
and to kind of go back, to do like whatever that word is, I can't remember what it is now, but a callback where we're talking about Marvel and Sony, with the whole Spider-Man thing.
Right.
That's I guess you could say that's an intellectual property, because Marvel, I mean, technically you would think that Spider-Man is a Marvel property, right? Because it's a comic book and all that, but Sony has the film rights to it.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So this is just
it gets kind of one of those, I don't know who, so Marvel, they're saying, well, it's our character because Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and then all those people who created it, they're the ones that created it. But then Sony is, well, we're the ones that can make the movies because we did the other movies, whatever, and then we gave you permission, or we lended it to you for however 5 movies, I guess, as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe like with what you're saying, there's some kind of protection. How far are you willing to protect you? How far are you willing to protect your family? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that situation is really complicated, especially since that happened in the 90s because Marvel sold the rights of Spider-Man to Sony to help get themselves out of bankruptcy, which, funnily enough, they also went bankrupt mostly because of Disney.
Yes. Just hilarious.
Just putting that out there. But yeah, it does really get complicated when you enter situations like that. But it's like,
Uh-oh.
Crystal
froze up again.
Okay. For me, in an ideal world, before people got like crazy with the copyright strikes to where now you can get copyrighted on Twitter because that's a thing now.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, there's the I forgot what the word is right now, but basically you can use the characters and whatnot as long as you're not making money off it or claiming you made it and whatnot. Fair use. Like in an ideal world, that would be the best thing. Like, okay, I made this character, so I can make money off of it. But if you want to make fan art or write stories with it, that's cool. Because that, so it's like that's an ideal world. But it's like, yeah, it's when you enter the more complicated situations, it's kind of like, okay, hold up.
I would totally agree. The whole IP thing has gotten it's gotten out of control. I would definitely agree with that, but at the same time, I definitely think IP should be protected, and it also gets into what qualifies as IP.
Yeah,
if I create a character, okay, that's an IP. But if I create the code for a new social media platform and make that code, is that still IP? At what level do you stop thinking of it as IP and more as like a tangible product? And is there really a line between the two? Because I can't just go, well, I created a character in my head. To get anything from that, I got to do work to make it something tangible in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole thing is just so complicated.
Yeah.
That's why I can't really pick a side.
You have to pick a side.
100%. Choose.
No
stick sitting around here.
And
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. It's this funnily enough reminds me of something I've kind of encountered with years ago in like pitching scripts and whatnot. They've actually had to establish like rules and whatnot of like how to do it because there have been times where someone submits a script and they get rejected, but someone who had a similar script got picked up and it was made, and the other person accused and sued the studio of, well, you stole my idea, but you didn't want to, and actually has someone like that's another
because they didn't.
Yeah. That's another complicated.
Is it because they didn't what is it, copyright the script or something, or did it kind of just, here's a script, I wrote it, even though, whatever, and then if you guys want to use it, you can, and then someone used it.
Coincidence too.
Yeah, that's possible.
Well,
yeah, you can independently come up with similar ideas.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, it was more so like you would like it would be like sending a script to like an agent or a producer or whatnot, see if they're interested and want to make it, and if they don't, they just send it back and don't do anything with it. And it's basically trying to sell to kind of avoid like, hey, we rejected this, but we accepted this one, which is coincidentally, and we don't want to get sued because you think we stole your idea and didn't want to pay you for it.
Yeah. Or I've known authors too that have posted examples of their work online, and then some Yahoo just blatantly steals it, just copy and paste it, and claims it's their own. And like,
that does happen.
No, they're being sick.
Yeah.
I think those kind of situations to me are very clear.
Right.
Yeah, favoritism is usually obvious.
So, I was reading the chat, and the person who asked the question clarified their question.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to read it, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So Jimmy says, I should have phrased it as better for society, if social conservatism was the defining policy, I guess, for society as opposing to having moderate or liberal social views. And I guess the answer to that for me would be, I guess for me personally, I have more conservative views for myself, but I don't expect other people to do that because it's their freedom to, I guess, choose those types of views.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I can't judge them for it.
That's the thing too, because you're like that, and people say, well, how come you're judging me? Aren't you supposed? I thought you were a libertarian. How come
I'm like, well, I'm not preventing you from doing it. You can go ahead and do whatever you want.
I don't agree. It's like basically, I don't agree with such and such life choices, or a lifestyle that you're making, or whatever you're doing in your life. But if that's what you're gonna do, then go and do it. Basically.
Yeah. In all honesty, I think that's people do confuse. No, I think you're wrong with are you trying to take away my rights? No, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And people, of course, think that, the next up after you shouldn't ought to do that is, stakes, burning the witches at the stake. People think you're like, well, if you say this, like tomorrow, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's interesting that people, I would argue that part of being a libertarian is having the freedom to openly disagree, but still accept the person's right to do it.
Yeah.
See, you're getting it.
With that.
Yeah. It's like,
I guess I'm one of those libertarians, quote unquote, that believes in just property rights and the non-aggression principle. Whatever else you think is up to you. Doesn't mean that I can't judge you for it, but so like I don't smoke weed or anything like that, but I would not be for, laws that criminalize it because it causes more of a problem than when it's not criminalized.
So what you're saying is you're not a real libertarian.
Yeah, I know, right?
If you're a libertarian, you're supposed to be smoking weed every single day of your life.
Oh, I got that before. They're like, if you don't smoke weed, how are you a real libertarian? I'm like,
what's funny too about that is when you see people make fun of libertarians and say, oh, you're just a Republican who smokes weed, and say, if only you knew who I am.
It's like, I don't smoke weed, but okay, thanks.
Right. Yeah. Or that other one too. Oh, you're a libertarian, so that means you're going to take away votes from the Republicans and give it to the liberals. It's like, yeah, that worked out the last time.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because look who's president right now.
Thank Gary Johnson.
I know, right? Exactly.
Well, I find that particularly funny because that was one of the things that people were really hoping would be another like big potential libertarian moment. Would be like, okay, let's face it, Hillary Clinton is crap, Donald Trump is crap. Maybe people will look at Gary Johnson and Bill Weld for some, and meet in the middle, so to speak. Yeah. It's like, that didn't happen. Part of it because Gary Johnson gives weird interviews.
Yeah,
but also because let's face it, the tribes are fairly well set, and even the people who don't like, even the people who aren't entirely satisfied with what their own tribe has chosen as the chief, they're still more afraid of the other tribe.
Right.
I think it is breaking up more now. Like, there's a lot of people who are like politically lost, quote unquote, like in the middle, where they don't have a candidate who represents them. Mm-hmm. And I think libertarians are kind of failing at that because there's a lot of libertarians who could pick up that, but they're picking candidates who don't represent.
And what's funny about that? Like when the whole Trump Hillary thing and Gary Johnson, all that stuff, there were libertarians who were saying, well, we should vote for Donald Trump because he's going to be the best in terms of the options that we're presented with. He's going to be the best one to bring people to more freedom or whatever.
But it seems like to me it seems like he ends up going like compromising on a lot of things that he said he would do. So to me, how is that like a good option? So it's basically the same thing whether you choose the other side or not.
And also with Gary Johnson being a viable third candidate, it's like, yes, he did get the most votes of any third party candidate, if I remember correctly.
Because it was Hillary and Donald Trump.
But also not just that. Name a Gary Johnson policy that he came forth. Yeah, you can't name one exactly.
Yeah, they picked the wrong person.
Yeah, like with Donald Trump, one of the main things he was talking about was immigration. We got to do something about immigration. And also his foreign policy. We need to stop nation building. I mean, he was talking about destroying ISIS too.
Yeah, if he was actually going to follow through with all of the things that he said about foreign policy, then that would have sold me, like if I had to vote it in.
I think there's some libertarians.
Because that's really important. And I mean, a lot of people run on anti-war stances, but then when they become actual president, then they can't follow through.
Look what's happened with Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of libertarians are supporting her because of that. And also Andrew Yang because of the UBI thing.
Yeah, but I feel like if either of them became president, I wonder how much they would actually be able to get done.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you can go ahead. You were starting to talk first.
Yeah, because I was going to say that, like with Ron Paul, like if he did actually become president, I'm sure he'd get a lot done, but then also with the Congress and, and all that stuff, it'd be pretty hard, I think, because I mean, like she was saying, Trump's been compromised or just doesn't have the gall to do what he said he was going to do. I mean, with the wall, he said, "Oh, Mexico's going to pay for it," and then I don't know if that's actually happening. I don't know.
Tariffs,
I don't know. Yeah, tariffs.
But not really.
The whole Mexico pay for the wall, that was always stupid. He never should have said that. That was just moronic. I don't even get that.
Right.
That's it. I actually recently just watched a Tim Pool video talking about the wall a little bit, and he went into the whole thing where no brand new wall has been built. Technically, that's true. There is not a single inch of the border that has a new wall on it. However, he did go into this section recently, 60 miles, that got upgraded. And before it was like a 10-foot tall fence, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now it's like this 18-foot tall, triple layered monstrosity. So he's like, technically not new ground covered, but that new wall.
Well, at least it's something, right?
It's a point. It is something, and it may be kind of the one thing that can be done that's kind of flies under the radar a little bit because it's upgrading as opposed to building new wall, which anytime that gets mentioned, the media goes into a flippin' tizzy. But still, I do think he's been screwing up by not actually following through on building new wall. And screwing that up.
And I think.
Oh, go ahead, Crystal.
Sorry.
Sorry. I think Gabbard and Andrew Yang and whatnot. It's not only would they actually be that the libertarians like done into the White House, not whether or not they just get done, but also I feel like there's so many other policies of Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang's that go against the libertarian ideals and whatnot. That it's kind of like, okay, is foreign policy enough to convince you to go against all the other things you don't like, or it's like it no matter what you're kind of compromising with the candidate you vote for, you're either compromising or taking a risk.
Well, I think for a lot of libertarians, the anti-war thing is the biggest issue because that's what we spend a lot of money on. And pretty much like any president that we get is going to end up expanding government. To me, it seems like that's going to happen. Even with Trump, there's a lot of spending going on. So I feel like people are just really hoping for someone who would get us out of the wars because that's what kind of makes us still an empire,
And what I would argue that, and I'm going to say about this, there is evidence to suggest that Tulsi Gabbard is just doing this because she knows, well, everyone else has a platform or an issue they're going to come forth. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm in the military. I'm a veteran. I'm going to be the anti-war candidate because there are times where she was, not anti-war.
Oh.
Yeah.
There are actual documented, and I mean, people might say like, "Oh, you're looking at a socialist website. How is that credible?" Well, she is more on the socialist side, so those are her people,
right?
So there are people who are self-proclaimed socialists who are criticizing her foreign policy record, and it's not totally clean. So there is some sort of doubt there that that's what you were talking about.
But I mean, people have had change of hearts before. I mean, there's definitely people, staying on the foreign policy thing, like Walter Jones. He's no longer with us, but he had a complete 180 when it comes to all this, because he was one of the, I don't know if he was the guy or one of the guys who was like, we need to change French fries to freedom fries and all that stuff.
Oh, I remember that. That was
one of those guys. And then,
oh my gosh, that was the best.
Yeah, he was one of those guys. And then I don't know exactly, I can't remember what it was exactly, but he went 180 degrees. Like, I feel like a piece of crap for saying we need to go to war in Iraq and all that stuff. And then the whole,
that's good, I guess.
And then all that, he was like, I'm writing letters to these families. I'm so sorry, and it was like his big issue after that. Like, he had it was like a legit change of heart,
Well, I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Walter Jones.
Walter Jones. Okay.
Yeah, Republican.
I remember the freedom fries thing. I remember, oh my gosh, yeah, when France didn't want to jump on board with us going into Iraq again. Like, yeah, there's no freedom fries. It's freedom fries and freedom toast. I'm like, is it freedom onion dip now? How far are we taking this stupidity? Right. Come on, guys. Yeah. This is the most petty inane crap, and it's only gotten worse since then.
Yeah. And continuing on the political track, if you two don't mind going over our usual time just a little bit,
by all means.
Jimmy sent in another question.
Okay.
He asks, okay, but in that case, if one says you can do whatever you want, it doesn't prevent of society, culture, family, and morals.
I think for most libertarians like me who would believe in non-aggression principle and property rights and everything else is up to you, to me, it seems like social pressure would be the easiest way to keep like your community in line. And like a lot of people say that that's a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Are you suggesting that they should succumb to peer pressure?
Well, I mean, if you just look at the left, if you look at the left, that's what they're using to get people to go in line with their line of thinking.
Especially with culture.
Yeah, in terms of culture.
Because conservatives ain't doing anything. Well, they're trying, but they're not.
They're a little bit behind.
Oh, they're way behind.
So I think that's one thing that the left has down, like social ostracism and everything like that. They get people on their side to believe whatever
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll do what you and then they're still.
Yeah, and I know that's like not the greatest thing or whatever, because a lot of people end up being politically lost or whatever. But I think as long as you're voluntarily like choosing your community, then social pressure would work within that community.
Because I do get, those, and I'm sure Jimmy probably is in that category. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Correct me if I am, but he's probably one of those people that says, well, I'm a social conservative. I want everyone else to be socially conservative because, look at how society is right now, with all the stuff like you were saying, all the stuff that's happening with our culture, entertainment, and the wokeness, if you will.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, because some people would say that, with all the violence that's happening and, in society right now, especially with all the I'm not going to say it or whatever, but all the violence that's been happening, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Some would say because of the family breakdown, that's
a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big part of it. So I don't know.
Here's the thing. There is no government policy that you can have that will or combination of policies that are going to prevent the breakdown of culture if people move away from that basic sense of morality and principles and stuff that initially held a given culture together. It just won't happen. If the people start to move away from it, it will break down. It doesn't matter what the government does. And in fact, having too stringent government policies sometimes creates that very situation. It creates the backlash. That's one reason why, like you were saying, the social pressure is actually much more effective. But there's different kinds of social pressure too. There's the highly negative social pressure that we're getting from the woke police these days, where it's like, no, you can't say that, you can't do that, all of that. You can't shop here because they once donated to somebody that right. That sort of thing. Where it's just gotten completely and utterly ridiculous. But there's also what I would say positive social pressure, which is just simply people going about and living good and living good up, to use cliches, to use actually good upright lives that adhere to a certain set of principles that have been shown to work, but also don't go about forcing it on other people. It's you're attracting as opposed to imposing, and that's very hard to do. It's only been done successfully a handful of times in all of human history, and it always unfortunately breaks down. Though the first time I'm aware of that something like that happened in human history was the conversion of the Roman Empire to Christianity, because that initial group of Christians, they had no tools whatsoever with which to influence their neighbors whatsoever, except the example of their own lives. And it eventually converted an empire. Again, with the fall of the Soviet Union, specifically in specifically with the fall of communism in Poland, with the Solidarity movement, there was a completely non-violent revolution. And again, it was done simply through attracting people through their own example. And but again, eventually these things break down because we get involved because we're human. We get involved in power and ego and this, that, the other thing. All societies rise and fall, unfortunately. And I think we're just seeing, honestly, I think we're on the downward slope of this particular society.
That's why I also think that some negative reinforcement is okay socially, because like, I don't know, like some things are.
It's true. Some things are so bad. It's like, no, you have to. Yeah, I agree.
But I heard, I can't remember who said it. I think it was Brave the World. She has a really good YouTube channel. But she said one of the best ways to spread liberty is to have children and teach them your values. Yeah. Because the children that you have will trust what you're saying, if you are a good parent and everything, and you'll be able to spread the message of liberty without, infringing on like other people's.
But what if those values are bad? "Quote unquote bad."
What do you mean? The values of liberty are bad?
Well, no, I'm just saying, what if the values aren't liberty? What if they're saying, "Oh yeah, you can"?
Hey, the people who want to like spread like socialism and all that other stuff, they don't even want to have kids because of climate change. So I think we're kind of winning there.
Yeah, you're right.
This is entirely accurate.
Devil's advocate.
And for the most part, the people who are having the kids are the people who do have a socially conservative bent, who do have, when it comes to policy, a more liberty-minded bent than the people that aren't having the kids. So just by that alone, eventually it will build up. But that's also why they put on so much social pressure to recruit their next generation. They don't raise their next generation, they recruit their next generation. And that's where people who are of a more liberty-minded bent do need to really step up their game as parents and make sure that they're doing their fair share when it comes to making sure their children are educated. Because eventually, I mean, I'm old enough. I've got kids I've got one kid in high school. Well, I've got a couple of kids in high school now. Goodness, I'm getting old. I've got a couple of kids in high school, and I've got all the way down to preschool. So I'm at all different ages, and I've definitely noticed holes in their. I've definitely noticed holes in their education that right now I'm trying to fill.
Yeah,
that's good because like either you're homeschooling them, which is like a lot of work, or you have to unschool them and like fill the gaps, like what you were saying, like within the stuff that they're taught, because they're not taught everything. They're only taught what the government wants them to know.
What did you say? Oh, not how to do your taxes? Well, I know we don't like taxes, but
we're not taught that. We're not taught how to do anything important,
right?
But, you know,
2 plus 2.
No, that's entirely true. Now, going through the same thing. I see another thing from Jimmy. I don't think he's quite done with this question. Here it is. Basically, the courts have, in my opinion, misinterpreted the separation of church and state, made churches having no impact on government, which I think was the opposite of what it originally was. I think there's probably more to this. I agree with what Jimmy's saying here, that they've gone completely off the rails with what that was supposed to mean. But I actually am going to push back on Jimmy just a little bit there. He says the government can't regulate morality. Every law is, in some sense, a regulating morality. I mean, you don't say you can't murder people unless you think murder is bad. It's a moral decision.
Yeah.
You know, you don't say there's speeding laws because you think speeding is too dangerous and puts other people at risk, and that's a bad thing. It's all a moral judgment.
Right. I mean, and people still speed, people still murder, steal.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. But that gets right to what Nico was saying, that there does need to be a negative reinforcement aspect.
Yeah. That's part of like a healthy society, I think. And I that's the one thing where I disagree on the left with, or and some left-wing libertarians too, where they say that you can't judge anyone for anything. But I feel like if you don't judge anyone for anything, then you can't have like some standard of society.
It's kind of it's kind of like you have like those blinders or blinders on, whatever. You're just like looking straight ahead, and there's all this stuff happening here that you don't like, but you're like, I don't care, blah 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 blah. You're you're just like whatever. Yeah.
And even if you, it just doesn't only mean that you have to do like whatever they're telling you to do, but you just need to consider it.
Yeah, and to kind of enter the territory of situations that would never happen, but let's explore them anyway. Like when it comes to like the no judgment thing. So if Bobby on the street murders his wives, I can't judge him for that because that's wrong to do. Are we not supposed to judge murder, rape, theft? These situations that are clearly and obviously bad. Are we not supposed to judge them because just focus on yourself, don't bother with anyone else? It just is kind of like I don't know, I'm gonna judge someone if they like went all Ted Bundy on their neighborhood, like.
That's a good point. Like I feel like if something is obviously wrong, you should be able to judge someone for that.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: everyone does. The most left-wing libertarian should be going, well, you just violated the ever-living hell out of the nap. So,
yeah.
You know what, though? They're in public, they're probably saying that, but I bet you inside or in private, you can tell, even though they say that, they're judging all the time anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like borderline, like, I don't know, like, if someone's taking welfare or something and they're not looking for a job. I've seen, there's a lot of people I know who are like that. It's like on the outside, I'm just like, okay, good for you. Just keep doing whatever you're doing because I don't want to get involved. But on the inside, it's kind of like, I wish you would take more initiative, But does that make me
I had a neighbor.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a neighbor like that. So she was having a conversation with my wife and mentioned this was back during the recession when Obama was president, and she was all, wow, I really hope Congress extends the unemployment benefits because otherwise I'm going to have to go get a job. I'm like,
it's like, well, shouldn't that be a goal? I don't know.
Yeah,
getting a job.
Exactly. It's like, okay, if you need the money, go get a job, work for it. Like, I am, like your husband is. because it wasn't like her husband wasn't working. He was out working. It's like, if you think you need the extra money, go get a job if you're perfectly capable of it. I see that too, though, with like where I work. There's a lot of contractors who come and go depending on different projects, and I know a lot of them. They'll go and they'll do a project for a few months or whatever, and then just go on unemployment and go and draw unemployment for a couple of months and not even try to find another job. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You know who's paying for that? I am.
Soaking it all. And they're like, thanks so much for the money. I really appreciate it. Like, no, that's my money. Give it back to me.
Exactly. It's like, thank mother. So that actually gets back to something. I know we're over our time, but I do have actually one question I kind of want your guys' thoughts on. You brought them up earlier. What is the deal with, why do libertarians like Andrew Yang? I mean, it's like, why? Because he's offering free stuff, and there's a big contingent of libertarians that like, yes, please, free stuff. Because the UBI thing, why does that work for libertarians?
He asked, why are some libertarians, or why do some libertarians like Andrew Yang so much?
I don't really understand that.
I think it's mostly left-wing libertarians.
There's some people who believe that it's unavoidable that automation will take over and people will lose. Like, it will be such a dramatic change that people will lose jobs and not have anywhere to go in the transition period. So they believe in UBI, but I don't know if it's exclusive to libertarians. I would say it also overlaps with some of the MAGA people and some of the people who were Bernie bros who converted to MAGA people after the DNC in 2016.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if those are all the same people or what.
I'm sure
one of the biggest things I've seen draw people towards Andrew Yang is the fact that he's the most not to overuse this word, because the other ones are really trying hard to be relatable, but like, he's the most relatable, like, down to earth one that there is, and I see that's a lot of what's drawing people into him.
That's true.
I would say
he's also an entrepreneur. Like, he has his own business, if I remember correctly. So that kind of like, to libertarians, I guess that's something. That's
he believes in capitalism.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I maybe in terms of economic and the business standpoint, I guess there's something there. I don't know. To me, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just
you're supposed to like him because you're Asian.
I don't care.
How dare you?
Okay, so like, I like Tulsi Gabbard, but
she's 1/4 Asian.
What's funny though? It's like, I like Tulsi Gabbard, but that's like saying I like this piece of shit better than this piece of shit. It's like they're all crap. Me at least, So it's
right. That's kind of that was kind of Josie's answer when we had her on, talking about the same sort of thing. Is like, because she was getting some flack with saying that she would hope that Yang or Gabbard would win the Democrat nomination.
Yeah.
Like, you're supporting them? No. I'm just saying, if I have to have one of these idiots, I hope it's one of these idiots.
Yeah, because
less idiotic.
Yeah, because the system's not going to change tomorrow.
No.
Yeah.
Unless something catastrophic happens, the sweet meteor of death comes over and destroys us all,
Well, and the truth is, I think it would almost take something catastrophic like that to significantly change things at this point. Because, again, as I was thinking about, Jimmy's question, it really, you don't get the kind of society that can hold on to a certain set of principles for a really long part of time unless it's small. And that ain't happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
There's no way to get there from here without a whole lot of people dying in the process. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
At least no earthly way that I could think of. Barring divine intervention, we're looking at sweet meteor death.
Something, something.
We did interview the sweet meteor death, and he said that he's coming in 2020. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, one can hope. He's been letting me down so far. I mean, I'm disappointed. He needs to seriously adjust his flipping trajectory.
He's just biding his time. He's like, I'm waiting for that Joe Biden to be the nominee. That's when I'll strike.
Yeah, because can you imagine if Joe Biden just kept running for president, even if he didn't get it this time? Like he just kept running until he was like,
"Hey, Joe Biden, who was your president again? Oh yeah, that's right, your boss."
Because he doesn't remember anything anymore. He doesn't even remember Obama's name. Like at this point,
You know what? Joe Biden, be the nominee because it's gonna be hilarious watching you and Trump go at it. Watch these two dummy idiots going at each other. It's gonna be great.
Oh, I decided a long time ago. I am here for the show. That's why I'm here. I'm just entertain me.
Exactly.
Isn't that
point,
stimulated by our politics anymore? I expect to be either. I try to not be enraged. I'm just here to be entertained.
Isn't that sad though? Like we're just there to be entertained, and then once it's all over, we're like, oh yeah, that's right.
Policies actually coming.
Real life, yeah. Now they're gonna vote on this shit. Oh,
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do about it?
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't bring back Obamacare 2.0 or whatever he was trying to do.
Oh,
was that another thing you say?
Yeah, he was like, if you like your health insurance, you can keep it. It's like, yeah, we're falling for that again.
Oh yeah, I remember when he threw that line out there. I was like, all right, Joe, you're my president, buddy. Come on now. You're gonna be so utterly about nothing. You know what? Now that I think about it, he is the perfect candidate because he's so stupid. Nothing's ever gonna happen.
That's a good point. Maybe we should vote for him because nothing's going to happen.
But you know what, though? Something we haven't mentioned is the fact that there are Republicans who are going to run against Donald Trump as well.
Oh, Joe Walsh?
Walsh and Bill Weld. And there was that other guy.
Bill Weld. He was trying to be a libertarian.
I'm a libertarian for life.
Except for that I want war.
And by life, I mean the life of a fruit fly.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh yeah, and of course there's Joe Walsh. That's the thing that's not going to happen. And actually, the last question before I let you guys get out of here. It's old news, but I'm kind of. What's your opinion on the whole Justin Amash situation?
Oh no.
I know it's old news. I didn't prep you for it at all.
You know what? I mean, I like him, and I think if he feels the way he feels in terms of Trump being impeached,
right?
I mean, I just don't know about this particular situation because
you mean the Russian collusion?
Yeah, the Russian collusion thing. It's just I don't know, and
it's so obviously not true with the Russia collusion thing.
Yeah,
to me, it's like, why would you pick that issue? It feels like you're just pandering to people to get support.
Yeah, and it sucks though because we know people who are libertarian or maybe not libertarian who do like Justin Amash. He's
and I like him as like what he stands for and everything. Other than the Russia collusion thing, like if he would have went after Donald Trump for like war crimes or something, maybe that would be different. But
right.
But then every time they ask him, whenever he's asked, "Hey, you running for president?" Well, he never gives it's always wishy-washy, very political, which I guess he's a politician, so that's kind of expected.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me if he announces he's running for president as like a libertarian or kind of other party, or maybe even a Republican,
like last minute or something.
I think it would be a bad call this time around. It's certainly not his time for that.
Yeah.
And like I said, he definitely timed. If he was thinking that, he timed his break with the Republican Party wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He should have waited probably until right after the turn of the year to do that, and then that way he gets that media attention going right into a campaign. But that I don't know. And again, the whole I agree with the whole Russian collusion thing. It's like that's going to be your thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad call.
Right.
And again, if you think he should be impeached, bring up articles of impeachment. Do it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like don't just like whine about it and say that Russia collusion, blah blah blah, and then like the whole Mueller report thing. Like during the hearings when they were asking him questions, Mueller was like, "Well, you just need to read the report." It's like, oh, okay.
It's like, why did we even bring you here? What the hell?
Thanks a lot.
That is exactly what he said he would do. Yeah. Like, I'm not coming anything beyond what's in the report. So,
but then like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For me, it's like they keep trying to double down on the same thing, trying to. It's a quote. The definition of insanity, the same thing over and over again results dealing with this whole Russian collusion thing. It's like, okay, guys, we didn't get him with this Russian collusion accusation. I know. We'll accuse him of colluding with Russia. That'll get him. That'll get everyone. It's like, no.
Yeah, it's like they're like DeVito in The Shining. Hit me. Hit me again.
Right.
Hit me again.
But with Amash, you know, I mean, I don't know how to say this right, but you know, I mean, him going against the Republican Party, that was a pretty ballsy thing, I guess. You know, because that's his party, right? Or supposedly.
That just proves to me that he has to run as a libertarian.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, you know, that's pretty ballsy move for you to go against him, because he got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah. And credit to him for that. And for the record, I was not happy with the way that the Republicans treated him.
Oh yeah.
He came out. I was like, come on, guys.
Right.
Relax. Just a little bit. He has a differing opinion. Mm-hmm. So what? It's not the end of the world.
I mean, you have Rand Paul, who's, you know, more libertarian. I mean, obviously there are, you know, some libertarians out there who aren't very happy with Rand Paul, who don't like him all that much, but he's a more libertarian leaning Republican. Then you have also Thomas Massey, who's probably even more libertarian leaning than Rand Paul, maybe 5%, but he's still a Republican.
Yeah.
For now, maybe he'll change his mind and become a libertarian. Whatever, but
the one thing I really liked when we talked to Josie about this issue, redhead libertarian, what the Democrats are doing, like the Democratic socialists are pretty much infiltrating the Democratic Party, and I feel like on the other hand, a lot of people are more libertarian leaning than like traditional conservative, I guess. So I feel like the libertarians would have a good shot, like infiltrating the Republican Party.
Right. Yeah, because
she was saying that like when we asked her about that, she said that would be her strategy, and I think that's pretty smart.
And yeah, I mean, like you were saying with the Democrats, like the progressives and the socialists, even they're doing a pretty good job. I mean, some of the more moderate or the establishment Democrats are like, oh hell no, we don't want these people in our party. And then with the Republicans, like I guess, I mean, are libertarians actually doing a good job infiltrating them? Because I don't really know. Because I don't really think they are.
They're still stuck on the purity test.
Right.
And the libertarian
and that's
party.
why the Libertarian Party is a fucking.
Yeah. Now, I think that's been the strategy of many for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, at the very least, going back to Ron Paul.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of his plan, try to change the party from within. Now, where I see the big flaw that, well, other than what you guys just pointed out with, there's still a lot of infighting in the libertarian world. I think the libertarian world may actually just wind up splitting into its two component parts. And you're going to get the progressives that don't like taxes, and then you're going to get, you know, the people that are just much closer to what conservatives actually are, as opposed to, you know, Republicans aren't necessarily conservative. Put it that way. I would say there's a big split between especially somebody's part of the Republican machine. There's definitely a split between them and what a conservative is.
Right.
It's like neocons versus conservatives, basically.
Yeah, and most right-leaning libertarians are kind of like, are for the most part just good conservatives, for the most part, with a few other differences that I can see in there. Like, you know, like an old school conservative isn't necessarily gonna, you know, be rah-rah with the legalizing weed and all of that, but for the most part, I mean, not the hill I'm dying on either.
Yeah.
But in any case, where I was going was, other than the infighting, the other thing is there does tend to be, or seem to be, too much of a reliance on a superstar. You know, on a Ron Paul, on a Justin Amash, as opposed to doing the hard work of infiltrating it from the ground up, which is exactly what the socialists have done.
That's true.
You know, this is not a thing that has happened overnight. It happened gradually until, again, to use another currently popular cliche until it happened gradually until it happened all of a sudden.
That's true, because they have a lot of people who are democratic socialists in the Democratic Party now, and that's how they're able to back each other up.
Yep.
Whereas on the right, we don't have that as much. We're more
it's
fractured.
like, it's like, you know, like you were saying with Ron Paul, he's a massive superstar. Almost every single libertarian you'll speak to is like, oh yeah, Ron Paul's the reason I became a libertarian, or at least, you know, went that direction.
But then the conservatives aren't 100% behind him or behind Rand Paul,
right,
or anything like that.
Right.
So
yeah, because you know, I mean, Ron Paul's still working. He's still, you know, he has his institute, all that, but other than that,
like, who else are we gonna like? I mean, I guess the ones you mentioned were Amash and Thomas Massey, right? But
that's just a handful of people.
Yeah, like on the left, they have the squad.
The squad, yeah.
And
I mean, I know a lot
Bernie
of people.
Sanders.
You know what? Yeah, and I know a lot of people hate them, but I mean,
they're getting things
every
done.
single day. There's something about them, and it's just, I don't know if it's just a distraction or maybe they have some legit points. I don't know. I have no idea.
But they're getting attention.
They're getting attention. I mean, even their own party is like, I don't know about these four people.
But then a lot of the young people are resonating with them for some reason.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point, you know?
Because AOC knows how to make macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. It's gluten-free macaroni and cheese, okay?
Right.
Yeah, that's like, is that paleo mac and cheese?
She used real cheese, so it's not dairy-free, so it's not paleo. So I can't be behind that. And she also didn't add any bacon, so I'm kind of offended.
I don't know. It's just the kind of infiltration you're talking about is the work of a generation.
That's true.
And I'm not even joking. It is legit the work of a generation. You won't see results for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. And that's kind of why like the point of like having children and teaching them the values of liberty. It kind of takes a generation to change that kind of thing. So that's kind of, in my opinion, the best way to spread liberty.
Yeah. And also kind of talking about the Libertarian Party, like, I mean, I would love to see not just Democrat and Republican, that's it. Like, what if the Libertarian Party was a major party? Like, oh, a Libertarian could actually become president. Like, they might actually become president. But then also, what if you're one of those people who don't like voting at all? And you're just like, I don't give a crap who any of these people are. I
feel like a lot of people would change their mind, though, if there was someone who represented them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the Eric Julys of the world don't do voting because they're like, all these people are idiots, all horrible. Why bother?
Yeah.
Which I can see that.
Yeah.
But I think we are way over our normal time, guys. So, no. Thank you for your patience. It's been entertaining all of these questions and everything. Crystal, do you have anything before we head out?
Nope, not really.
All right.
And it was a blast.
As always. So, Shane and Nico, any final thoughts?
Just the final thought is that we need to have both you guys on our podcast.
That would be awesome.
So,
yeah.
We'll schedule that after we're.
Yeah, we can see what we can do with that. But so we have, like she was saying, our podcast, What's Happening.
What's happening?
But yeah, it's our YouTube channel, and then like in our podcast, and follow us on Twitter, especially her because she's awesome and I'm just there. So.
Oh, come on.
I recommend following them both on Twitter, actually, especially since you don't want to create any wedges, any divides there unnecessarily. So definitely follow both Shane and Nico on Twitter. You could definitely find them in the out there and watch their podcast when they come back with it. And did you guys have a plan for when you're going to get going with it again, or is it just kind of like soon?
We're starting again tomorrow because our podcast usually goes live on Mondays.
Okay.
Mondays at 8 Central.
On YouTube, yeah.
But yeah, we've been just traveling a lot, so that's why we missed like last week episode and everything. So.
Hey, I love me a little traveling. I've been doing a lot of that myself, but I've had Crystal to help, mind the store while I'm away. So
yeah, that worked. two co-hosts who have like the ability to like take over when one's absent.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And Crystal's done a fine job whenever that's been necessary. So on that note, guys, thanks for coming on. And we're happy to be the ones to kind of welcome you back to the YouTube world.
Thank you.
And until then, stay cool down there. And for everybody watching, next week we're going to have none other than the Princess of the Multiverse, Faith Moore, back on the show. Nice. So until next time, keep fighting the good fight.